let's close this podcast on an opinion piece, if you will. And I want to ask you guys, what do you think makes a good game to today's standards, I guess? Or in today's standards?
For me, I just don't want it to be cluttered with stuff that is not fun to do, but you feel compelled to do, just because it unlocks other stuff that you probably would be helpful for your journey in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like something like Assassin's Creed being filled with collectathon, unfun collectathon. I like collectathons, but this is just garbage scattered everywhere that you need to look out for and pick up, and there's like 30 of one thing, like 60 of another thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a feather you need to get, like 70 of these feathers. It's just I'm exaggerating numbers, but
I was like,
this is a thing. There was a feather in like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I think. You had to collect.
So basically, like,
it's just bad.
Pointless things to keep you playing the game.
Yeah. It's just I don't want it to be everything just dropped into a big game world, and you have to find your way through this big game world filled with fluff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I want something more not streamlined, but a little more precise.
Mm-hmm.
Something where you have a goal of what to do in the game. You want to, and you can do all the side things if you want, but they don't just keep branching off into other things to do endlessly.
Like Horizon Zero Dawn.
Exactly. Horizon's a good example of that. You have some stuff to do on the side as you're heading towards your main goal, and then you can just do them or not
if you want, and upgrade your stuff if you want. Yeah,
exactly. But then stuff like Dragon Age Inquisition and Assassin's Creed, any of them, was
any of them.
Well, with you with some of the stuff like Assassin's Creed, like if I'm not mistaken, like some of the stuff like the glyphs and whatnot, like they unlock like different cutscenes and parts of the story.
Yeah.
They're still annoying to get.
Yeah, exactly.
They're really annoying to get. Because you had to be in eagle vision, and you had to look on the side of buildings, and they all had like little sound cues in order to find them and stuff like that. And
reminds me of the riddles, or the riddles.
Riddler those are pointless.
Those are garbage.
Can't stand those. Well, they're not pointless. Like I think that they serve a purpose, and they kind of create like an end game for the game, because like you can always go back after you beat the game and do the Riddler stuff. But some of the
I always thought they were gonna add like you couldn't, like the actual story couldn't be finished without doing, like, the Riddler was going to be a big part of the story, but then it was just like a letdown.
I think in Arkham Knight, I think there was like a meter that showed if you did all of them, and you can unlock like a specific ending or something.
Yeah, there's if you do all of them, there's a final cutscene for the ending.
Yeah, I just YouTubed it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which basically means you have one person in the world do it, YouTube it, or videotape it, and then you go watch it on YouTube.
I was gonna do it. No chance.
It's just how many of those things are there? Like hundreds. A lot. Yeah. I mean, maybe just give us 30 hard ones. I don't know. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if they gave you perks, like something you can use in the game. Like, okay, now you can fly in the game. Like, there's no gliding limit. Now you can just whatever.
And everyone that's defending it is like, oh, it's optional. You don't have to do it. But they're all over the city. I'm like, I'm driving, and it's like, oh, there's that. Should I try that one? No, should I try that one? Oh, okay, I'll try that one.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so clutter. We don't like clutter in the game.
Yeah.
You don't like clutter in the game. Carmen, is there something in the game, like what makes a good game? Basically, because, you'll have one article gives a game 10 out of 10, but then you play a game, like, for instance, Zelda, right? Everyone's like, oh, that's such a great game, but it's not for everybody. But what makes a good game? I guess
it depends. It depends on like, it's hard for me to say, because like I enjoy like the first person shooters. I play a lot of like first person shooters. I enjoy like some competitive multiplayer and whatnot, like Destiny, Overwatch, Halo 5 multiplayer was fantastic and really well balanced. So it depends on what like I'm in the mood for.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, in that element of it, like if there's a multiplayer element, it needs to be balanced. And I need to feel like I'm making progress in some way. But multiplayer is a whole nother facet of a game. For me to enjoy the game, I agree with Jonah in the sense of, like, I don't want to collect things just to collect things. And I wanted to respect my time.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the sense of, like, it's fine. Like, if you wanted these big, huge, open, sprawling worlds that take you, like, 800 hours to beat or whatever, that's fine.
To walk across.
But, like, to me, it's just like, if it's something that big, I'm gonna get distracted. I'm not gonna beat it unless it really grabs me. And it's hard for me to say because like Final Fantasy 15, I enjoyed. Like I really enjoyed. And like there's definitely some weaknesses to that game, and there's some grinding elements and stuff like that. The characters were okay, but it's something where I still feel like it respected my time because I didn't really need to go and do everything. Like if I needed the legendary weapons or the best weapons, I could go and do it, but it didn't impede me from actually beating the game or distract me enough.
Yeah, one thing.
The hunts were fun. That was the only thing. There was a lot of like the hunts that you can go on with Final Fantasy 15, but they were fun hunts, and it was a really awesome way to level up without having to grind, just going to the same area, fighting. And it was one of those things too, is where if I was going from point A to point B, I'd probably go up a level or so, but it wasn't something where I had to stop, heal, go back, fight a bunch, stop, heal, go back, fight a bunch. It was just a consistent leveling system that allowed for me to make progress, and I pretty much when I wanted to grind, I could grind, but I didn't need to.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Jonah?
One thing about I remember that Dragon Age Inquisition. The developer had to give a warning about moving on from the beginning area, because when you have to do that, there's something wrong with your game.
Yeah.
Don't just make it a little less dumb. I don't know.
The other part, I'm trying to think of some of the games that like really like some of the best games I feel like are the ones that leave me with some sort of an impact at the end of the game, or like a feeling. Where like I get up, like I finish the game, I kind of sit back and I'm like, okay. I was like, wow, like all right, yeah, that was different, that was unique, I enjoyed that. You know, and some of those games I may never go back and play again, but the experience that I had was my experience of it, and it did something. It did something to move something inside of me, or I felt something that said, this was a unique experience. This was different. This wasn't something that was just cookie cutter or very repetitive. And I think about like Last of Us, like how Last of Us ends.
That actually that describes how when I beat BioShock Infinite, that was similar to how I felt for that.
Something like that too, where it gets you thinking about certain things. Or it expands your perception of what you just played. BioShock 1. Yeah. The big shocker in the middle of the game. Red Dead Redemption. I know I talked about it a bunch.
And it's sad that these games that we're mentioning, they don't have these multiplayer aspects, and they don't have that much replayability.
But they have the most impact.
Yeah, exactly. So with games these days, moving away from that, we might not get games like that anymore.
And that's what's scary, because like a lot of video game creators think of themselves as like artists. Like this is their piece of art that they're making, they're creating, they're writing, they're putting their passion into. And like I said, Red Dead Redemption left an impact on me. Yeah. Last of Us left an impact on me. Uncharted 4 left an impact on me and gave me closure. It's really, for me, the game has to accomplish. And it's hard for me to say, because like I wasn't a big fan of like Uncharted 4's gameplay, because like it was just a lot of climbing and stuff like that, and there was times where I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to climb this wall again. And the shooting mechanics never were always that great. But then I look at the opposite side on Tomb Raider, where I think the Tomb Raider, the moment-to-moment gameplay is fantastic, and the story is like lackluster. But I enjoy them both probably. I don't want to say equally. I think Uncharted's writing and the characters are a lot better. But it is one of those things that it just, I think for me, it just comes down to like whatever I'm playing, I don't want it to feel repetitive. I don't want it to feel like a chore. And I want it to leave an impact for me at the end. Yeah. Like I want it to change my perception. I want it to have some sort of impact on what I just played. And I want, like I said, I put the controller down, whether it be like BioShock or something, and be like, wow, yeah, that was awesome. Like I can't believe like that's the way it turned out, or that's the way that character ended their story, or like it was just like I said, I guess that's the best description of like what I think is a good game. Yeah. And I make jokes about it, but like that's why Zelda's never gonna do that for me. Yeah. That's why Mario's never gonna do it for me. Yeah. Because there's no character development for any of those characters in decades.
Mario has nipples. Who saw it coming? Makes you think.
I think Nintendo did just recently say something about Mario not being a plumber anymore.
Yeah, and
that just upsets me. I dedicated my entire life to be a plumber.
But you're gonna see more of a character development from God of War 3 to the next God of War.
Yes.
And that is going to be huge. And I feel like when I get done with God of War, seeing the changes that Kratos has made and whatever storyline he follows is going to have a big impact on me, just based on what I've seen, because I've seen the crazy bloodlust Kratos from the first 5 games that they did, and seeing him have a son and stuff like that, I feel like that's going to have an impact, and I feel like it's going to have a really great story to tell, and it's going to add to the characterization.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like saying, even looking at like with what Horizon did, and Horizon, the reason why it was so fantastic, and the reason why it's probably gonna be my personal game of the year, is because it didn't have those fetch quests. There was enough variety in the side quests and side missions. The cauldrons actually gave you something after the fact of you doing them and allowing you to upgrade your stuff. There was somewhat of a loot grind, not really. When it came to like the mods and everything like that, but throughout the entire game you feel like you're making a constant progress, and the gameplay felt great, but also Aloy as a character was really interesting, and the world that she was in was also interesting, and I thought the ending was they ended the game very well.
Mm-hmm.
It leads up to another game. Obviously they're doing DLC and stuff like that for it, but the way that they ended it, the last scene of that game, I thought was just a very nice scene.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit about the Division. Also,
I didn't beat Division, so you can go spoilers if you want.
I'm not going to talk about like spoilers or anything. I'm just talk about gameplay wise. One thing I hate about the Division is the fact that
there's actually multiplication the entire time.
Yeah, that's it. Also, the stats are way too complicated. There's like there's multipliers for specific gun stats, and the gun stats give you something, and the armor stats also do stuff.
They try to make it as in depth, I guess, as possible.
The one thing with the Division just I never wrapped my head around was the idea of that, like, you have bullet sponges that are just people.
Yeah.
How are people bullet sponges?
Yeah, they don't have armor. They're just people.
Yeah. like I understand, like, Destiny is a sci-fi shooter. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, they're aliens, you know, they have armor and stuff like that, and space magic and whatnot. But, like, Division, there's people.
Yeah, well, that was, for me, I mean, listen, it doesn't have to make a great game, but I was always into realism. Like, I shoot you anywhere vital, you're not shooting me back. You at least have to take like a 5-minute break to recuperate and come up with some decisions. But
yeah, like again, I shoot you with a bow and arrow gets stuck in you. You may not die.
Yeah.
But like if I'm shooting you in the chest multiple times, you're probably gonna die.
I'm still waiting for that game where you get shot in the arm. You know, some games do that where they won't use that arm for like a little bit, but then they'll like shake it off and they're fine again. It's like no. You can't use that no more. I took that ability away from you. I would like to see the realism in that.
And with the Division, there was it's all about getting loot. And you might say
fantastic
Destiny.
That we're talking about what makes good games, and we're still talking about the Division.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, I'm talking about it in a bad way. Because I think it's not a good game at all.
Okay.
So, if you like Division, I'm sorry, but I hate it. The Division.
Hate's a strong word.
No, I hate it,
man.
I cannot get enough hatred for it out of me.
You can get enough.
I cannot. It's just bottomless. So the Division, it's all about the loot. You might say Destiny is all about the loot, but it also has a lot of mobility, gameplay, and it has colors. Yeah. The Division is just you're in New York. Maybe they've had expansions to like San Francisco or something. I don't know.
Hawaii, where it's vibrant and lovely.
But I remember I was there for the first incursion. I didn't finish it because it was garbage. But it's just you're in like a room and there's just waves of people coming at you, and it's just not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just for loot drops, and you leave, and it just looks like the same thing you already had but stronger. There's like enemies are all that look the same, even the different factions.
Yeah.
Like maybe some of them have like orange somewhere on their body, and they have like a gas container.
Yeah. Well, that's for me. I enjoyed the first few hours of the game
because it was new.
But then you start replaying those first few hours over and over again
because you have to grind for stuff, and that's one thing that might seem hypocritical because I'm so into Destiny, but when a game is just for grinding for loot, it kind of I might have just been because in Destiny 1 I played so much for the loot, so much grinding because that was what Destiny 1 was. That I just decided I'm not going to do that for Destiny 2 anymore. I'm just going to play the game, beat it, and then move on until the next expansion. But that the Division's just a loot farm, grinding nonstop, and any game that's like that.
I mean, I think about even with that, like Diablo. Like a lot of people swear by Diablo and love Diablo. Like, and I played a decent amount of Diablo, but like the big portion of those games for like Diablo is that it's a loot grind. Like you're constantly, and there's different levels of like end game and stuff like that you're leveling up your loot and you're leveling up your character and you start more characters. But all it is a loot grind.
Yeah, I liked it as a little co-op adventure.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun game. Like don't get me wrong, But there is certain games that are like that where it's just loot.
Now, like for Division in general, I haven't played it in forever, so I don't know what the latest update has changed on it. But anyway, I don't know. Like for me, the game has to be fun. Obviously, the story has to be really good. Like you said, it has like that lasting impact, and game's got to be fair. Like it can't be overly ridiculous. Where you're just
You're saying no Dark Souls.
Well, that's like a
rewarding game.
Yeah, that's rewarding it. But here's the thing, though: a lot of games don't have. Like going back in the day, you had games where you play a game and you can beat it under a certain amount of time, or you beat it in this difficulty, you unlock this next game, or you unlock something else. There's no more unlocking anymore.
Yeah,
it's all about, like you say, it's all about purchasing it or DLC. Well, it's all purchasing, but basically, it's purchasing it.
Like you don't get that unlockable Captain Falcon like in
there's no more unlockables. There's no more secrets. I think the latest secret to come out was unlocking Star Fox 2 on the SNES Classic, which all you have to do, from what I understand, is just play one level of Star Fox 1 instead of beating Star Fox 1 and then getting it. You just play through the first level, or so whatever it is. But
anyway, that's going away. That's never coming back. So,
but my thing is, like what makes a good game to today's standard. It was also basically like, what is a good game anymore? And are there games that, looking back, because I always look back to my games. Like I was saying, I was playing Metroid, the first one again, DuckTales, and you kind of see what the games back then were like, and then you see games that evolved into like things that not today.
That aren't games
because
anymore.
To me, I feel like, this is my personal opinion, I feel like games are still fun, they're still great, there's still, like you said, there's still stories to be told, there's still impact feelings from that stuff, but I feel like the worst thing the video game industry did was become a multi-billion-dollar industry, because no longer is it about the games, the creativity per se, it's about what can this game make us, what money can this game do. So it's all about following trends now, you know what I mean? And it's just sad because you're talking about games too that are worth your time, but then they're putting stuff in to play that game longer, so they get all the attention, and then even now microtransactions. Let's just keep adding little microtransactions to see how long we can keep people to play in our world.
And then it's just like Last of Us, like Last of Us, you played for the story, but they threw a multiplayer into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I never
Uncharted,
played the multiplayer.
It's actually not bad. It's actually pretty good. But same with Uncharted, like you didn't need an Uncharted multiplayer, but they threw the multiplayer in it to try and keep the game in people's hands longer and play the game longer. And
my personal opinion about multiplayer is, with those games, I'm in it for the story. For instance, Metal Gear Solid 4. I was in it for the story, but they added later the multiplayer to it.
3 too.
Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, didn't they have multiplayer? Yeah, they had a multiplayer.
I don't remember.
I remember because that was like the first time that PS2 was trying to do an online connection thing.
I didn't have the online adapter to it, but yeah, I'm sure they probably did. You're right. Sure. I'm sure you're right. I just never did it.
But yeah, like even looking at Snake Eater, like the end of Snake Eater, that was a very impactful, emotional ending.
Right. Even Metal Gear Solid 4, like it just, with the story it had going, it wrapped it up nicely. It was just a fantastic play. But that's all I wanted from the game. I didn't need to play multiplayer, but they add multiplayer because it keeps people playing their game.
Yeah.
It keeps, it jumped on the multiplayer bandwagon, exactly. And then you have Uncharted, which I guess you were saying Uncharted 3's multiplayer was pretty good.
My favorite multiplayer for Uncharted was Uncharted 2.
Uncharted 2. But I remember I just want to dive into those stories for the story, not just to play multiplayer. Now, for instance, if I played, because I loved Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
But imagine if they had another playthrough where you get unlimited blah blah blah, or you get this perk, or they have an extended story that you get if you beat the game within a certain time. They keep you focused on that story. You know what I mean? It gives you a reason to play the game, not just because they want to jump on the multiplayer bandwagon.
Yeah.
Which, could have been fun in its own right, but I'm just saying, games like that. And that's why you don't see these companies wanting to invest in these one-time stories anymore, because it's well, not everyone's going to be playing that. No, we need to make money in this venue over here. So let's get rid of this Star Wars game. Let's close down Visceral Games. because maybe that story's fantastic. Maybe it's an awesome experience, but it's not going to grab everyone's attention. And we don't think that's a good idea because it's not going to make us all that much money. You know what I mean? They're making sacrifices to make the money instead of having them be creative and make an awesome game. And, you know, back in the day, that's all people made games for, was to make the game they want to play, or, you know, like games they want to play as well. Like the creators, they put out games like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure back then there was the issue with making a game that would sell, like marketing easily, but there wasn't really microtransactions to worry about. So the idea was just making the best game.
The idea of selling is obviously there. They're not going to be like, well, I'm going to invest this money just to have myself play it. You know, I mean, they're obviously they want it to play, but they looked at back in the day. They looked at what's fun, what's exciting, what's the story going to be. Now it's all about how many people can we get to play this, to keep playing this game. How many people can we invest to make money off of, instead of looking at all the aspects of what makes a game fun. Let's just focus on what can we do to make people come back. Yeah,
and you can look at even like the first the Tomb Raider reboot, the most recent one. That had a multiplayer, had no business having a multiplayer. Mm-hmm. You know, and it was just like one of those things. And that game was awesome. The story was fine. I platinumed that game.
One thing, Last of Us in multiplayer, was that any good?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was actually really good.
I never played it.
No, it's good. Both the Uncharted and the Last of Us, I mean, they never felt tacked on. They were very well thought out. But at the end of the day, did I think that the game would have sold more or less based on the multiplayer? No. Yeah. So I think it was very well thought out. That the systems were in place. They had a good upgrade systems and whatnot. The game was fun to play on the multiplayer side. They just didn't need it. If it would have done the same amount, I think, with or without the multiplayer on Last of Us or Uncharted. Yeah. With that being said, though, one honorable mention is that, you know, a lot of shooters have a hard time telling a really good story outside of maybe BioShock. Yeah. But like most recently, and it sucks that it got sandwiched in between two juggernaut games, but like Titanfall 2's campaign was fantastic. Like from a gameplay element, the story wasn't anything crazy. I thought it was a very well developed story, but the gameplay throughout that campaign was very well done. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard to do something new with a first-person shooter campaign if your name's not like Portal. You know what I mean?
And it's funny because you mentioned that, but...
And the multiplayer is fantastic.
But what was used to campaign that? The multiplayer. You get the multiplayer beta. You don't get the story mode. You don't get a demo story mode.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, the multiplayer and stuff like that, you're gonna get the beta for multiplayer because they need to test their servers.
But people didn't buy the game because they didn't have a good experience multiplayer, and they missed out maybe on a good campaign.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of that though is definitely they shouldn't have put it in between Battlefield and Call of Duty.
Well, that's true. That was a terrible mistake, John.
Do you think they overestimated themselves?
No, it wasn't. Respawn. It was EA. EA gave them that date.
They set them out to die.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's EA. Because, like I said, they're sitting there counting money.
If you're, well, think about it this way: if you're EA and you have Battlefield 1 coming out,
then I wouldn't be on this podcast.
A juggernaut to begin with, and you have Call of Duty also coming out every single year. So you have Battlefield, Call of Duty coming out once every other year. For a while, there was every year. Yeah. Think about it from like a political party standpoint. You have, say, the Democrats, Republicans, and then you have the Independents. The Independents are pretty much there just to take votes away from one or the other side. So probably in the business thinking, and again, this is just me thinking out loud, and it probably has nothing to do with it, I'm probably crazy. But from a business standpoint of it, you probably would want to put Titanfall out there, not to necessarily take sales away from Battlefield, but to take sales away from Call of Duty. So it doesn't necessarily have to succeed. It just has to hinder Call of Duty at some point. Right. Mm-hmm. But because of that...
It was destined to fail.
Yeah. And like I said, it sucks because it was an awesome, fantastic game.
Did it fail though, with sales-wise?
It didn't do well. It didn't mean what it was. I mean, I'm sure and Respawn's an awesome company. They've been rolling out free content, new modes, new multiplayer, and all you're buying is microtransactions for like cosmetic stuff. That's what you're buying.
That's what happens. Like the good developers with the good DLC format, they're not getting what they deserve.
Yeah, and Titanfall is awesome, and it sucks, but.
And I just,
it was probably the better quality campaign too of that year for shooters.
Well, they were, and unfortunately, a lot of places now, like you look at Halo 5. I know this is going back a few years now.
Halo 4 is a fantastic campaign, by the way.
I like Halo 4.
Mention of that. Great, that was the best campaign that Halo ever had. Was number 4, hands down.
It was, well, you know what it was? It was, you could tell it was different.
It was well written.
And it was well written.
There was higher stakes. You weren't just a superhuman.
That was a company too that they knew what they had to do. They weren't just thinking of money. They were thinking of their reputation to be like, okay, we have to make a game that's fun, a good story-driven game with fun multiplayer. It wasn't like Halo 5 where let's just bang out this campaign quick just so we can get another Halo.
I don't know what they were thinking about Halo 5 campaign.
But that's
multiplayer was fantastic, but I don't know what they were thinking
about. But you knew it had to do something with trying to get a Halo game out for Xbox One.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of their budget of getting Nathan Fillion to be motion capped for that game.
For Buck.
But that's what I'm saying.
It should just be a Halo Buck game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I want a buddy cop Buck and Master Chief game.
Oh yeah.
Like I just want Master Chief to be like the veteran soldier that just doesn't have a sense of humor, and then Buck in his ear the entire time saying ridiculous stuff. That's what I want. I want a co-op campaign all about that.
I'm trying to think of what movie that would be.
Rush Hour.
Most all buddy cop movies.
Lethal Weapon.
I like Murtaugh. He's fun.
Getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, that's just a personal thing. But what would make the games good? It's just, it's got to be fun. It's got to have that lasting appeal. I would like to see the changes be made where, unfortunately, it's not going to, because, like I said, the worst thing to happen in the game industry was it became a multi-billion-dollar game industry where everyone's trying to get a piece of the pie. So, yeah, like I said, I would like to have a nice balance of an awesome multiplayer, awesome campaign experience. During the campaign experience, don't just give me the campaign and that's it. And don't tease things. Like, if you want to make me search for things, make it something awesome. Give me that extra ending or give me that extra perk to make me want to play the game again. Maybe when you play the game a second time, different events are going to happen and it's going to be worthwhile to do it again.
Yeah, just to kind of add on to this too, and we're looking at, like, we're really just talking about, like, AAA, but indies have really done a really awesome job about like, kind of closing that gap. So, like, a lot of the ones, like I was talking about earlier, with Visceral closing down, 3 or 4 indie studios might break off.
Get a little piece of something.
Because you still have, like, some small games that have an emotion attached to it or had an emotional response. Like Journey had an emotional response if you played that game.
Well, that's what it is. Like, indie games.
Ori and the Blind Forest, you have an emotional response. There's really there's a story there. But it's the sound, it's the music, it's the gameplay, it's like how you interact with the world. Like there's things there that, like, I feel like are definition of a great game, but it does come down to that we're moving more towards a service based.
I know games because, like you're saying, indie games, most of them are going back to the gaming roots. You know what I mean? Like, let's make a game a game. Let's stick to this. Let's grab things from here that were fun, this from fun.
But it's hard to break that ceiling of what the AAAs do.
It is, because that's what the world's looking at. Like, that's what's... And you know how... I don't know if you know, but I'm just saying...
you know?
The, gaming industry itself, like, the people that make these games, especially indie games, like, they're pulling their hair out trying to make these games, and they're just... You know what it is? Like, even AAA games, they make the games, and then they make the layoffs. It's like... I don't know. It's like it's very rough. It's like an in and out. It's like, I look at it as like retail. I remember one store I worked at, they were saying the retail employment is like a revolving door. Mm-hmm. Like, people come in and then they're always like cycling out. That's just what it is. And that's exactly like the gaming. They make the game and then that's it. They're out. And it's sad, but that's just what it is, because everyone's trying to make the big bucks, trying to get all the marketing. And it stops becoming video games and starts becoming entertainment, like gaming. I don't know, there's a word for it. I want to say like video entertainment, but you know what I'm trying to say?
I don't.
Instead of having a game to play the game and be a game, it's a game to be the best selling game of the year.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's less the experience, more the money.
Yeah. There you go.
That they get. You know what I mean?
Solid thought.
Yeah. So it's not the how perfect the taco is that you're eating, the one taco, but it's how much they can bang out. So it's like fast food. It's like, oh, that burger does not look like the burger I'm getting, but they can put out more of that burger you're getting versus the burger that looks up on the screen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You're really going all in with these...
I'm just angry. I'm angry because, like, you look at, like, Visceral Games, like, they're closing that down because it wasn't up to what the money's going to bring in.
I mean, yeah, we don't know the backstory. We're just making assumptions.
I'm just...
These are true assumptions. 100% true. I have
Yeah.
You know
sources.
the definition of an assumption is, right?
True assumption.
Okay.
True assumption.
So, but I mean,
I have sources.
all right. So that's kind of my kind of crazy rant. I just want games to be games again, and not just focus on all the money and just follow the trends, because break the trends. You might end up with something spectacular, something you didn't think you were gonna come up with, but it just ends up being awesome.
And like I said, you're gonna find that more in the indie games.
Well, that's what it is.
Now you're gonna find that more in the indie games.
But a lot of
there's still gonna be AAAs.
a lot of people don't get to indie games. Because,
No, I mean there's a lot to play right now.
Yeah, and then those companies don't last too long because they're not making the money to thrive. And then they kind of branch off into something else. But anyway, closing thoughts, Jonah.
Closing thoughts. I wish games would stop wasting my time. Give me side quests that give me something of value. Like, I don't want to talk about Andromeda again, but
I didn't play Andromeda. Did you play Andromeda?
I played a little bit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, there's side quests in there that
My brother
that go,
loved that on PC because it looked great in 4K.
Yeah,
That's
well,
a
it does-
great reason to be happy about a game. Is because of the visuals.
It
alone.
looks good, but there's like long side quests that give you like experience at the end,
Yeah.
rather than anything of value.
Yeah.
It's just you keep going down the rabbit hole, and then it's just like, up, just move on now. That's what that. I don't want that to be in games.
Yeah, my closing thought is I think my rant's just an overlaying complaint about microtransactions.
Okay.
I just don't like them. They're
Nobody
ruining the
does.
games. They're ruining the games.
Again, but then something has to give. Like either that you get the microtransactions, or you start paying for a game more for a game.
Hey, listen.
Nobody wants to pay more for a game, and people are going to then have higher expectations because they are paying more for a certain game.
Well, you know what?
So it'd have to be an agreement amongst all publishers that AAA games are now $80.
And you know what? That's not bad. I was telling these guys last week that a catalog for Super Nintendo from like '96 or something like that. They're still selling games for like $54.
Yeah.
Back then.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when all you needed was just some sprites and some MIDI.
You didn't need voice actors. You didn't need mocap. You didn't need most of the things. And that's the thing. Like the gaming industry has not moved up with inflation.
Yeah.
So this is what you get.
And you know what? I guess when it comes down to it, I guess we have to be happy with this because, like I said,
We don't have to be happy with it. You can pretty much, you can speak with your wallet. Like you don't have to get the microtransactions. If the
Like, what's in your
microtransactions
wallet?
are, if you don't want to buy the microtransactions, don't buy the microtransactions. But if you do buy microtransactions, they're going to see that as a way to supplement the amount of money they're putting into production.
yeah, and like I said, you can either buy. Some people can buy the $100 game, or everybody can buy the $60 game and choose to purchase the rest.
And
Or
the
at
re-
least have like a $60 game, but have like a warning that it's gonna be $100. You want everything else, so that people decide not to buy a $60 game if they don't get everything with that purchase.
But I think, I don't know, I still miss the days of, like you said, you're never going to see it ever again, but unlocking things, I do. I miss those. You're not gonna. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just what it is.
And like there might be some stuff that you unlock, but you're never going to get everything that's unlockable.
Like I would like to see something even, amongst like to stick with times, like especially with streamers and stuff like that. Have rewards where you can get this DLC for free if you beat this campaign in such and such time.
Nope.
But you'll never see. it.
Nope.
Because
Never gonna happen.
they got to make the money.
Exactly.
And that's unfortunately what it comes down to. So looking at today's standards, pretty much a good game for myself is different from what they think out there. Basically, a good game to them is what's going to bring them money, what's going to sell,
what keeps you playing longer.
what keeps you playing the longest, versus what's going to have a long-lasting effect on myself. Is it really, really fun? Is this something that I just want to play over and over again? And that's just, unfortunately, we're not going to see that anymore. Does that make games nowadays less fun? Yes, but it's not going to stop anyone from ever playing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm there. I'm just going to always... That's why I like collecting, because I'll always have those games to play again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Anyway, Carmine, any final thoughts?
Nope. I think I got my spiel out.
You're like, end this, please.
No. I think it was a good conversation. Like I said, I look back at the games that actually have some sort of a response.
Right.
Like I want to be able to feel something at the end and be like, hey, this impacted me emotionally this way.
Yeah.
Or hey, I haven't thought about the world in this way,
Mm-hmm.
or hey, this character's arc was fantastic.
Yeah, because those are the games you're gonna want to eventually go back to.
Because it's
Like,
like,
I can
you
always-
watch movies because you enjoy the movie.
I just look
You
forward to
like-
the end credits. That's. just
But
love
that's the
looking at
thing. Like,
names.
I want a story. I want to enjoy playing the game, but I do want a story. I want to be interested in and invested in the characters that I'm playing,
Absolutely.
or the characters that I meet.
Yeah.
And if they're not doing that, then
What's
is
the
what
point
it
of
is.
life?
But again, I played Destiny, and I played Destiny for 3 years without a story. So, but the gameplay mechanic and the game loop was there. So.
Yeah, but like we're talking about Metal Gear Solid 3, I will gladly go back and play that series again, even 3.
Even with the broken mechanics,
Of which one?
it's not really broken. Snake Eater.
Oh,
It's just not a fun. I just
depends who you watch play the game.
It's
Clearly,
fun.
it's easy
Definitely
as hell to
depends on
play.
who you
If
play.
you know all the,
Yeah.
what is it, close quarter
who
combat.
you can just roll into
Yeah,
over and over and over again.
so,
Just
but
knock everybody out.
but anyway, guys, let us know what you thought down in the comments below. Do you think, what are your standards, and what do you think
Makes a good game.
makes a good game? And do you think the company went downhill since it became a multi-billion-dollar industry?
The
That-
company?
Yeah,
You
what
said-
company?
What?
You said the company. What company?
Not company, the gaming industry.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did I say company?
He said
You said
company.
company.
Wow, I didn't mean to say that. But anyway, let us know down in the comments below.